Welcome to From Pitch to Pontoon.
Hi, it's Lisa. I'm here on my lonesome today, but welcome to From Pitch to Pontoon. I will be joined today by Sean from 365 Vertical, who is one of our resellers out in the US. Today we'll be talking about the software, obviously, but how that can help, particularly marinas, and how you get the cross-sell and upsell opportunities with that software, and not to forget the customer and operator buy-in. Hi, Sean.
Hello, how are you doing today?
So we're joined with Sean with some brilliant minds in the Microsoft Business Central space. Today we'll be talking people, AI, tech, and how the marina world can adopt this to create frictionless processes. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So
Good.
for anyone who hasn't come across 365 Vertical before, if you could just do a brief introduction of just what you guys do and how you came about.
Yeah, for sure. So, 365 Vertical, we help people with growing businesses replace systems that they've outgrown. So, streamline accounting, inventory, billing, service, all those kinds of things. And we try to help them gain real-time visibility into, the data that really drives the results in their operation. Really gives them a platform to scale with confidence. We're a Microsoft Business Central partner in North America, and as we like to say at 365 Vertical, we're software that you can grow with.
So you guys have been in like the industry for a while, but what made you think about marinas? What made you go, there's something interesting over there. There's something that we could really apply our kind of skills and knowledge to.
I feel like it's a little bit personal and it's a little bit professional. So, I'm a boater myself. So I
Okay.
have a boat at a marina. My boat's at a local marina here in Ontario. But when you really pay attention to what a marina is, it's a multi-revenue stream business. It's, seasonal and transient rentals of dock space or slips. It's service, it's storage, it's usually fuel docks as well, maybe some retail, some rentals, activities. It really can be sort of limitless. I feel like it's an experiential destination for boaters, but it reminded me a lot of resorts, and that's the industry that I
Hmm.
come from. And I spent a big part of my life working in resorts with disparate systems and stitching it all together. While doing that, actually, we were implementing an ERP solution and that really changed everything in terms of visibility and sort of control and the results that we were getting on a daily basis. So we're getting real-time results, right? Versus things that are happening the next day when finance is batching everything together. But it really just made me think, marinas are very similar to the resort space. We come from a hospitality background. We've tried to apply ERP to the hospitality background before, one system, one source of truth. And it really got me interested in starting to research marinas in the industry, North America specifically. And I found that there were multi-marina operators out there with a single portfolio managing, numerous marinas. And
Yeah.
I really felt like that's an industry that's going to need technology to scale with so that these enterprises can understand at a location level what each marina is doing and how profitable it is. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
great.
what gave me the idea of thinking about marinas and, sort of how I think some of that can translate from the hospitality industry into marinas.
And I'm glad you said that because you've put the personal and your experience to it because I mean I'm exactly the same. I have both hospitality background and marina. I had boats and was always brought up around the water. So I understand that. So it's nice that you've kind of put the two together. And I think it shocks people sometimes that they are actually very similar, the hospitality world and what especially nowadays marinas are trying to achieve. It's the same problems. And I'm sure maybe when you first started talking to marina operators, you've been at Daytona recently, but what
Yes.
were the things that you noticed kind of straight away when they were kind of engaging with you? Was there anything that was sticking out in your mind about how things are running on a marina?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the marine operators that would come up to the booth and talk to us, they were typically using multiple systems to run their business. One system, let's say, for slip management, contracts, invoicing, document management, separate, let's say, for fuel docks. another one for retail, maybe some for
Yeah.
boatyard services. But effectively, you're now at 4 or 5 different disparate systems that are, you know, you're trying to stitch together the picture at the end of the day, all
Yeah.
that landing in a finance system, which is like QuickBooks or something like that, right? And it's all batch level entries. So you're pulling transactions in. You've got the customer in multiple systems, and it really feels like they're using, Excel and people and human processes to really stitch together that true story. But what's happening in all of that is there's waste and time being spent on that and not ultimately delivering great service and generating more revenue for the business. So that's
Yeah.
really ultimately what I'm hearing, common under the hood, when talking to marine operators.
Yeah. And I think you'll probably agree, coming like from the hospitality, it's almost the same situation that you were seeing maybe a few years earlier in hospitality that you're now seeing in the marina, maybe because they haven't had this kind of all in one idea yet, or it's just not caught up.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that marinas are at that sort of stage where hospitality was probably years ago, and they're
Yeah.
starting with consolidation and building brands and building customer loyalty and self-service and that kind of stuff. So I think that that's ultimately really important to these marine operators of tomorrow.
And did you hear any kind of frustrations? Was there common frustrations from either marina managers or the finance team, or probably the same person, right? Actually, on a marina, like what was the frustrations that you were hearing? Was it to do with this, like systems coming in from all over and cannot manage everything together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that applies to lots of different industries that are growing.
Yeah.
I think that that's not necessarily unique to the marina industry, but as these businesses grow, the challenges feel very similar to other industries where,
Mhm.
they're common sort of multi-entity, multi-location, multi-revenue stream businesses that might be operating in different geographical locations. And, I think what really you see is finance sees effectively like an aggregated or batch level entry
Mhm.
that lands in the GL, and the detail behind that isn't necessarily clear. The results aren't always clear. Again, you're using Excel or BI or something to pull together disparate systems and data to basically translate that into operational KPIs, but also financial results. And there's a lot of swivel chair, dual entry. You're you're entering the invoice
Yeah.
into a marina management system, and then you got to enter that either via an integration, it lands in QuickBooks, or it has to be entered manually into QuickBooks. And if your finance is sitting in QuickBooks, they if they don't understand why a GL entry is there, they don't have the power to basically navigate like in Business Central, where you can navigate right from the GL entry all the way to the sales invoice or the purchase invoice that made that GL, right? So that
Yeah.
GL entry. So I think that that's typically the common theme is swivel chairing into disparate systems, getting the data to really get a full picture of your operation and understanding, the results to make
Yeah.
change. So
Yeah. And talking about all of that, and obviously you've been out about and you've spoken to a few marinas. Is there anything that stood out, putting you on the spot a little bit? There might not be. Was there anything that you thought that actually cannot still be happening today? I cannot believe that people still do it that way. I don't want to put you on the spot, but was
no,
there anything?
not at all. I mean, I think I was sitting in a session about AI. A lot of these marina operators are using Office 365. We were talking about sort of the use of Copilot to help you at the
Scalable.
marina level, with like marketing and things like that. But anyway, what came up at one point was Excel and being able to use Copilot to help with Visual Basic scripts. But we were talking to a multi-marina operator, and I'm talking like 30 to 40 marinas, where they have a master Excel sheet with numerous tabs where they're pulling data together to get a picture
Oh wow.
of the enterprise, but it's relying on people that have the knowledge of these VB scripts, understanding the data in the disparate systems, normalizing the data in this Excel spreadsheet, and then they can provide the KPIs and the reporting to the executive level. But I think in that sense, I mean that's brittle, right? I mean
Yeah.
it's prone to error. It's if something happens in that
Imagine
extract or
breaking
that
that
file.
spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly, right? Um, so it was interesting because we were talking about, can Copilot help you with your Visual Basic scripts inside of Excel? But I think the question really, to turn it around, is how can a business system that's built on one platform really help empower you? And with AI
Mm,
built in, being able to really extract in real human language, asking it questions to get that data back, and also help you with building some of those KPIs and those reports. So I think in that sense, really resonated with me, and it was a
yeah.
you can't still be doing this moment.
Yeah. No, you hear them all the time. I think I was out doing an AI presentation as well, and it was just even chatting to it like in natural language. People were like, "What? So you just talk to it like it's somebody?" I was like, "Absolutely, that's what you can do, and look at what you can actually achieve." And it's that kind of moment. I don't know if it's because we maybe use it every day. We have the Business Central. You see that kind of power. People just maybe don't think that's a possibility. But on the tech side of things,
Hmm.
before we get too techy, people
Yeah.
do hear that word, and I think you mentioned it right at the beginning, ERP, and
Yes.
immediately just go, no. They switch off. They feel like that doesn't apply to them. What do you do just to make it feel a little less intimidating, a little more to suit them?
I mean, ERP is just an acronym, Enterprise Resource Planning. It's a single system to run your entire business on. But I think, not starting there, but really starting with the day-to-day reality of, like, we'll take marinas, like slips, contracts, billing, fuel, service, rentals, retail, and basically show them how one system can connect everything. I think if you
Um,
can do that, and it's about really removing friction, improving data reliability, and delivering a better customer experience at the end of the day. Whether that's empowering the staff with mobile apps, like mobile apps for the staff to use for
yeah,
service requests and things like that. It's really giving, it really reduces like the manual work and eliminates a lot of that double entry, and just creates clear visibility across the organization. So I think it's really leading with that and expanding on showing them what's possible in a single system.
making life frictionless, as that
Yes,
seems to be a word at the moment. But yeah, frictionless.
yes, yes.
Um, But in simple terms, what have you seen, regardless whether it's marinas, hospitality, but what changes for that business or the people when everything sits in one platform rather than five, six, seven? What do you see are the main changes for them?
I think in the end, everything gets easier. You're entering information once. You have one product master, one pricing one place to update pricing, manage contracts. The data flows automatically to the GL, right, to finance. Reporting becomes real time versus, hey, I'm pulling batch level data into a report after the fact, and I'm looking at yesterday. That's already gone. We need to react
Yeah.
today. So I think month end, it stops being a reconciliation project and taking days to finish, and it happens in a day or two. But really, ultimately, it can happen at on the last day of the month, right?
Mm.
If you have everything running efficiently, we can see it be turned around in that same day. So um, instead of managing the software, you're managing the business. You're empowering people with a tool.
Yeah, they can go and get on with more important things. And month end is a really big one, actually, because I mean, I've had that, 5, 6 days, sometimes even more. Sometimes you're still doing month end when the next month end comes. So to get even just that one thing down, I don't think people realize what a big thing that is.
Like,
So yeah, absolutely. What's a small improvement that you've seen? So it doesn't even have to be like a huge thing, but just a tiny improvement that has changed everything once everything's joined up, like, that you've seen, like, in your experience, if you could think of one thing. It might not be just
I
one small thing, but
I think it's about it's reducing rekeying. It's reducing
mm,
double data entry. It's being able to trust the results from the system. I think once you see those efficiencies happen and you can get the data in real time, you start to trust the numbers and you trust the results, and you have a clearer gauge of where to take your business. So I think I have to say double data entry. Like,
yeah.
that
Well, it's
is
a huge thing, isn't it? Yeah,
the biggest
yeah.
thing, yeah.
And that leads quite nicely onto actually talking about maybe the people side of things, not just the tech, not just the software. One thing that we do talk about a lot, people who aren't brought along in that process, and I think I actually spoken about it quite recently about who should you have around the table when you're trying to get that buy-in, and like how do you ensure that people people accept the change and they embrace what you're trying to do, because ultimately you're trying to make their life easier, aren't you? But
Yeah.
what have you experienced with that, with the buy-in?
Um, I think it's important to have support at all levels within the organization. I think it's important to have that vision, to have processes mapped out, to really understand your business. But I think it's about the inputs and the outputs, and those inputs and outputs into the software, which is just a tool, is human, right? It's
Mm.
the people that know the business. They understand all the edge cases, the seasonal patterns, and they know how to basically feed the tool and use the tool. Um, I kind of use like this analogy that software is, kind of no different than a shovel. The shovel really can't decide where to dig the hole, how deep to dig the hole, and it won't dig the hole for you, right? But it's certainly going to help you dig a hole more efficiently instead of just using your hands. I just think of technology as an extension or a tool to help really connect people to the customers and drive revenue. So I think of it, I kind of just think of it like that.
That's actually really nice. That, and then that kind of answers the next question. How do you help them feel confident to use it? But if you're using analogies like that, actually I feel confident in Cam already, and I haven't even seen what you're trying to make me use. So it's definitely, yeah, I think that's exactly it. You cannot get adoption if you don't have the team on board, but you've got to show them something that makes them their life easier. And exactly like you say, they're the driving force behind it. If you don't have them, you don't have a system that's going to work. So yeah, absolutely.
I think it's
Um,
just about empowering the people with the tool
yeah,
and making their life easier, because I think if you can take them from a process that took them days or several clicks down to a process that's a little bit more automated and the software's helping them, I think they see it as a win-win. I know that there's
yeah,
people that are, sort of the subject matter experts and they know the systems and they have the spreadsheets. But I think if you can really bring those people in quickly and make them sort of promoters of the project, they don't become detractors later on. And they help build the business process and all of the logic that goes into setting the system up, right? So
yeah.
I think, and then at the end of the day, it's about training them and enabling them to use the tool to, you know, help their day to day.
Obviously, we're now working together, Elite and 365. What made that partnership make sense to you guys? What did you see in us, I guess, that you thought, oh, that actually we could really see ourselves aligning here?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, since meeting you, you guys have been great. I think that you're experts in the marina industry. I think that we both know Microsoft Business Central and the tool. It's one system. But you guys have really built purpose-built software for the marina space in terms of slips, contracts, recurring billing, and all the mobile apps like My Elite and Elite apps to enable the mobile workforce. And I feel like you've already sort of done the hard work. You have a purpose-built solution that's built on Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. I think in that sense, I mean, we know hospitality. I think that there's sort of like an overlap, it feels like there
Mhm.
with marinas and the marina space. There's bookings and availability and yield management and driving revenue, and lots of different multi-revenue streams. So I think there's a good overlap there. So it made it really easy to kind of look at having a partnership with Elite and being sort of an Elite reseller within North America.
Yeah. And obviously it's super easy to use. That's one of your things as well, Sean, isn't it? It's like you've picked
Yeah,
it up straight away and it's really easy to use. We'll
yeah,
just plug it
yeah,
a little bit more. Kidding.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I worked with Alistair and Charlotte. We've had some training and we've been on some of the Elite Academy stuff online. So you have great documentation online. But we've been able to, like a hotel property, a marina, rooms,
Yeah.
slips or berths, contracts and rate. They're like rates in hotels. So it's So there's a lot of overlap. So it's made it kind of easy to kind of learn the system from that perspective.
And you were saying like it's sector specific software. Why do you think that matters so much to marinas and hospitality compared to like a generic solution? Why do you think that matters so much?
Be- I think because in a generic system, you're adapting the software to meet the needs of the business, whereas in a purpose-built software, it makes sense. You have things that are called marinas, boats, slips, berth, contracts, document management, and really the workflow is there from like I'm an inquiry to wanting to have a slip at your marina to then I'm now a seasonal boater storing my boat at your marina. That on a generic system by just adding on some uh, marina specific fields, but it's not specific to the marina industry, doesn't have the same effect that having experience within the industry
Hmm.
and understanding how things go from an inquiry to a lead to, being a converted customer, having conversion. I think that's really important. So
And what's different, do you think, when you combine like the Microsoft knowledge with people who really understand the marina operations? What do you think you get out of that?
yeah, I think at the base, Microsoft Business Central gives you a great foundation that's scalable, cloud infrastructure. AI is at the forefront with Copilot. You've got security and compliance built in with an enterprise level solution. It's all fenced again within your tenant, so you're protecting your data. Strong financial management and reporting. And then when you layer in the industry specific software, you're understanding your slips and your customers and your invoicing and your pricing and how to drive revenue, and how to make things easier, not just for your guests, but for your staff within the marina management software. So I think
Mm.
building on the Microsoft foundation makes a lot of sense because it gives you the ability to scale. And then having both of those together, it's a system that understands both the numbers and I think the voters or the customers, if you will.
It's interesting you said about the safety there, and again, the Copilot. I think a lot of people don't realize also maybe when they're putting their data out into another kind of AI platform that it's out there, then it's in
Yeah,
the world, where in Copilot it's safe, it doesn't leave. It's just so much more protected. And that was a big thing that I noticed. People just didn't have that kind of that realization when you're telling them. They're like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. So it's a really, I think that's a really strong selling point for it.
a- absolutely.
So if we're looking ahead, or on the subject of AI, where do you see, and you fast forward a few years, that a fully, functioning, well-run marina will be doing differently? What do you see them doing differently with technology, especially?
I think I think the industry. I mean, if I had a crystal ball, I'd have $1 million, but or maybe more in this day and
It
age.
would be good, wouldn't it?
I think marina operators that are operating multiple marinas in their portfolio, I think as they grow and acquire more marinas, if they have different systems in play, I think to be able to scale, I think that they're going to look at simplifying their technology stack, putting everything on one system. Um, instead of adding more point solutions to their solution and their technology stack, that's just going to complicate things and muddy the waters on true visibility into the financials
Mm,
and the customer. You're going to get better, clearer visibility into their data, performance, profitability, revenue. Um, and I think you're going to see a shift toward, that more scalable platform because they're going to add more marinas. And I mean, if you take Business Central, just adding another marina and location is just, okay, let's now configure this next marina.
yeah.
Let's add the slips. Let's add the services and the revenue streams to that. But at the heart, you have one centralized database that's basically managing your business. So whether that's how things are posted to the general ledger, what the workflows are, you can set that up and that can be either the same across all of the marinas or that can be different across the brands. So
Mm.
I think that's
Yeah.
what you're gonna start to see.
And it's built to grow with you, which is a great thing. Um,
Absolutely.
and do you think there's anything that marina operators um, think they don't need yet, but probably will? Again, this is your crystal ball out, Sean. But is there anything you think?
I think I think moving from the online presence of requesting a slip or requesting contact and going through like talking to a person, I think um, customer expectations are going to evolve, reducing friction there and real time web visibility to availability, especially for transient slips. I think the
Mm,
boater of tomorrow is going to expect availability online so they can book online. So there are solutions out there that are trying to do that, but like I kind of equate it to like the hotel industry. I mean, you have Expedia, Airbnb, you have Booking.com. I mean, when's the last time that you booked a hotel booking and flight and your vacation, either with like maybe a travel agent or directly with the brand itself? I mean, you're probably going
yeah,
to one of these sites to try and find probably the best deal and really kind of look for the resort and lifestyle that you're looking for. So I think you're going to see that transition to the same kind of behavior with boaters where they're going to be shopping online. They're doing the Great Loop and they're looking for a marina in the Florida area, and they're going to go online and they're going to look for a slip, and they're
yeah,
going to shop pricing. So I
yeah.
think that's an area where I'm going to see a lot of growth. And I think the marina operators, they probably see that they probably need that, but I can see it moving more toward that direction.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, if I have to book something and I have to speak to someone, I'm not gonna book it. Genuinely. That is like, if I can't do it
Right.
online, it's not happening. And that actually, that subject is something that does surprise me about the industry, that it's not really a done thing as much as it is in, like, as you say, hotels or resorts. It's really not. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And then finally, what genuinely excites you about where this sector is heading? Because I know I have, like, I can see there's a shift, there's a bit of a change that we maybe saw in hospitality. It's like that second gen type idea. But what genuinely excites you?
I think yeah, I mean, I think it's on that similar inflection point that, hospitality and hotels were on, 10, 15 years ago. I think people are going on this technology journey of,
Mhm.
consolidating systems into one system, getting better visibility, building brand loyalty. I think that's gonna be big in this industry, so I think there's a lot of opportunity, in this industry to help, you know, marina enterprises succeed. Be that a single marina or a marina that has 50 marinas in its portfolio. I think that building that solution on one software solution and being able to extract the real time results and giving them a platform to grow on is really exciting. So I think it's about connecting the people in the industry with the tools that are out there to help them modernize.
Thank you, Sean. So
Yeah.
that's us for today, but I have two final questions for you, if
Yeah.
that's okay. So for any marina manager, do you know what, anybody actually who is listening, thinking, do you know what, our systems are a bit of a mess, but it's kind of working. Um, my questions to you are: what would you say to them, and what would be the sign to look for them to say, do you know what, it is time that we made that jump? What would be your advice?
I feel like if you say it kind of works, it's probably costing you, more time and money than you realize because there's a manual process, there's a human process in there. You're not getting real time visibility. Manual workarounds, duplicate data entry, the reconciliation headaches, those are all basically hidden costs. They don't
Mhm.
always show up as like a line item in the GL, right? So I think that just turns into lost time and potentially poor customer experience or missed revenue opportunities. And I think what's one sign? Um, I think I think maybe the moment growth creates more manual work instead of clarity, that's a sign. I think like the more manual work that you're doing and the more that you're growing and the more that you're relying on people pulling the data together and you're getting results from yesterday, but you're not seeing results in real time, I think that's a sign.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed that. That was actually
Thank you,
really
Lisa.
interesting. I could talk to you a bit more about product, but I'm not going to. But yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.